Happy Wednesday, UnWoke Nation. I'd like to welcome you to episode 196 of the UnWoke Show, where free speech is welcome, all subjects are on the table, and your boys Rich and Tim bring you the latest and greatest for your entertainment, baby. I'm your host, Rich, along with my co-host here. How you doing, Tim?
Oh, great. UnWoke Nation, guys. Glad to be back speaking with you this evening. Guys, you know where to find us by now. You can also reach us directly at feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Again, that is feedback@unwoketheshow.com. And tonight, guys, yeah. Tonight's episode, the LGBTQ coalition is splitting why gay Republicans are dropping the T.
What?
Yes. So
that was a mouthful right there.
That was a mouthful. Last weekend, I attended the Freedom 250 Grand Prix, which was very cool to see IndyCar on the streets of DC, to see cars running down Pennsylvania Avenue, the way the National Mall looked and everything. It was really, really cool.
It looked awesome, man.
Yeah. So Saturday, I take that back. We went to a practice, qualifying. It was awesome to see. Sunday was the race, and it was a late race.
Was it because of rain or anything like that?
No, it just, in terms of getting started.
Okay.
It started at 1 o'clock. Right. So, and you either had a Stars ticket or a Stripes ticket. And seating was very limited.
Oh, really?
And so it was grandstand unless you were going to drop $20K for a suite.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we get there and grandstands are full at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So we walk through, I believe it was the Sculpture Garden. We happened to make our way down and around, and we were in front of the fence that was in front of the sidewalk, and then there was another fence, and then you got to see the cars, right? So we're standing, and it's standing room only.
Mm-hmm.
Just before the race, no, I take that back. Actually, as the race had gotten started, I happened to have a chance conversation, if you will, with 4 college-age women.
Oh, okay. Now I remember. So Tim gave me a text message, and I've actually been waiting to hear about this conversation so you guys are hearing it for the first time just like I am. So Go ahead, Tim. This is going to be good.
So this group of college-age women, they were, politically, they were mixed. They weren't all Republicans, and they weren't all Democrats.
Okay.
One of them described herself as a democratic socialist.
Yeah.
So during our conversation, I heard a phrase that caused me to turn around and say, "Tell me more."
Just had to know.
Yeah. Republican gay. Or they're so Republican, they're gay. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. As you can imagine, as I said, that caught my attention.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally I said, is this something they'd experienced firsthand? One of them actually said yes. One of the women brought up an ex-boyfriend. They threw out the, "Oh, Trump is my savior." And their description of these men were khaki pants, suit jackets, briefcase.
This is like her ideal guy or her ex-boyfriend?
This is how they describe Republican gay. So, just to be clear, this was not a formal interview.
Mm-hmm.
Complete social setting. Okay.
You are in DC.
It was very interesting to hear each woman define the phrase. And I'm not going to diagnose someone's sexuality based on a conversation with his ex-girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But, what struck me was how naturally these young women use the term.
Yeah.
It apparently represented a recognizable type of person.
Hmm.
So the race went on. I left, and I kept thinking about this on the way home.
Okay.
The law. So here's where it, I think, is going to make a little sense. The Log Cabin Republicans, the country's oldest and most prominent organization for gay conservatives, announced that it was dropping transgender advocacy from its national mission. So naturally, when I looked up Republican gay, this is where it took me.
Oh God, I'm glad I'm sitting down for this one.
It took me to an advocacy group.
Okay.
And that advocacy group, again, is the Log Cabin Republicans. Okay. The Log Cabin Republicans no longer describe itself as an LGBT organization.
They don't describe themselves as
LGBT.
Okay.
It now identifies specifically as an LGBT advocacy organization. So this raises a question much larger than whether gay people can be Republicans. Obviously they can.
Mm-hmm.
Sexual orientation does not come with voter registration.
Right.
Okay. The real question is whether gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender Americans still see themselves as part of one political movement, or whether that coalition is beginning to fracture.
Mm-hmm.
The Log Cabin Republicans, the board itself voted to focus its national advocacy on sexual orientation and conservative principles.
Is this, are we trying to make some type of political soup here? I'm sorry, are we putting sprinkles on shit? I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Its president, Ross Heminger, described the organization as an LGBT advocacy organization. The organization says its priorities will include marriage and adoption, open military service, equal treatment under the law, religious liberty, limited government, individual freedom, gay and lesbian inclusion within the Republican Party.
Okay. Now, granted, I mean, there are people, I mean, I think a couple of years ago, they had a guy who admitted he was gay and was part of the Republican Party. But like you said, it's like, your orientation doesn't matter exactly when it comes to your values, or at least understanding what the Republican platform is. So that's not it. And also, but it just seems like we're having a lot of let's put sugar on shit type things. And that's not how this works.
We never got into, and so when I'm talking about the Log Cabin, again, this is what has, and I don't think these girls knew about this group, to be honest with you. But when you do a search for gay Republican, again, it brings to this, and what's interesting is most of these girls identified, two girls identified as moderate, one libtard, and one a democratic socialist, right?
Okay.
They asked me, where do I fall? And I said, hey, I fall more into the middle. And I said middle Republican, not middle as in the middle between libtards and Republicans.
Okay.
None of them ever mentioned anything about transgender. But apparently the phrase gay Republican gets thrown around DC, I'm not surprised, all the time. The girl who was the Democratic socialist, she believed, in what Mandami was doing. She made the comment that in society we have the haves and have-nots.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm really referencing is wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are born into the silver spoon.
Right.
Others are not.
Mm-hmm.
They contend it's the government's responsibility to level that playing field and close that gap. So wealth redistribution, basically.
No, that's not how this works. It's interesting you brought this up, Tim, because I literally just saw a video where a guy was interviewing some college students. And he was asking them this question about how do you feel about, America can become more socialist and everything like that. And these people were all for it and stuff. So, but here's the one thing. Now, remind you, I just got done telling you guys on Woke Nation where he's actually talking to students.
Yes, these are college age students.
Right.
And so I'm going to paint the visual. Rich, you and I are, we're at a bar. It's packed. Mm-hmm. We're hanging out, having a couple of beers. Mm-hmm. You and I are talking. We have a conversation with the bartender.
Right.
And we'd literally overhear something that makes us both look at each other, turn, and say, "Tell me more."
Right.
Unscripted,
mm-hmm.
unprompted.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Is that a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, as we're talking about Republican gay, then it got me thinking, it brought me to the log cabin Republicans, and then it even got me thinking about what I would consider the original gay rights movement. Mm-hmm. For a recap, because I'm glad you asked.
Yes, please.
The original gay rights movement largely asked, may consenting adults have private relationships?
Okay.
May 2 men or 2 women marry?
Okay.
Can someone be fired for being gay?
Shouldn't.
May gay people serve openly in the military?
All right.
Should gay couples be allowed to adopt?
Okay, I understand where they're coming from.
So, if you look at the conservative principle aspect of it, okay, you're talking about marriage.
Right.
You're talking about private relationships. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a form of discrimination.
Right.
Okay. Military service and adoption.
Yes.
General Republican principles. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, here's where things get a little crazy because, again, this group is dropping the T and just doing the LGB, right? Modern transgender policy disputes frequently asked different questions. Mm-hmm. When should minors receive puberty blockers or hormones? What authority belongs to parents, doctors, schools, or the government?
100% parents.
Should biological sex or gender identity determine athletic categories?
So if you're talking about with trans and also and them trying to dumb down their
Caitlyn
testosterone
Jenner
and all that other stuff and also, which obviously she opposes it, but go ahead.
How should prisons, shelters, and locker rooms handle sex-based separation? Should government documents record biological sex or gender identity? So I look at this group, they're on the rails.
Right.
Then you throw in the T aspect of it, and now you're off the rails. Mm-hmm. Okay. The space that the log cabin Republicans are trying to occupy is that first set of points we made.
Right.
I never thought I'd get down this rabbit hole.
Right.
Okay. One phrase took me to this. And I was quite, if you will, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't taken back by it, right? It was just more of, really? You know?
Mm-hmm. I mean, because the point being is, you can see they're clearly being honest about what they're thinking. So I can understand you being intrigued to say, and the fact that they were willing to actually say more were because how many times we've seen stuff online there like that where it's like, you know, if they get an inkling of where so that you're opposed, something like that, they just completely want to shut down.
Right. So the first thing I told them, I said, hey, I want to talk about this on my podcast.
Okay.
I go, ladies, I have a podcast. Oh, really? What's your podcast? You know, tell them the UnWoke Show.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find us out there and everything, right?
Okay.
I said, I'm not going to use your names.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that was fair.
Right.
And as soon as I set that field, that's when everything just started coming out.
Oh boy.
Right? And being in that scenario,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't, or let me back, having a chance conversation on a term that I've never heard.
Mm-hmm.
On a race weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a demographic within the conservative base. I almost would have thought the two were an oxymoron.
Right.
Gay Republican. And as we continue to talk, they made one point, and this is something you and I discussed in a previous episode, is the two-party system.
Right.
Okay. At the conclusion of that episode, and during this discussion, and these ladies agreed, America itself has outgrown the two-party system.
Okay.
Right? You can have the libertarians.
Right.
And then one of the girls made the comment, well, if you vote anything other than Republican or Democrat, you're screwing either party out of vote. And I said, that's bullshit, because your vote is still your vote. And
Right.
I said, okay, yeah, I completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we went from gay Republicans to what your vote was and what it meant to a brief discussion about communism.
Mm-hmm.
They said there was Russian communism.
Mm-hmm.
There was Chinese communism.
Right.
Mussolini, so
Mm-hmm.
at
For
one
Italy.
time. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
Italy, Italian communism. And I said, no, what you're really talking about is Marxism
Right.
at that point. And so we briefly touched on it, but then we circled back to talking about gay Republicans, which again led me to the log cabin piece, and I've got several links in this in the podcast episode for you guys to go check out and learn more about the log cabin Republicans and what it means. But I can say I did not attend the Freedom 250 expecting to come home with a podcast topic
Right.
about the future of the LGBTQ movement.
Mm.
Okay. I just wanted to go to our nation's capital and watch some cars race.
Right. Sometimes you never know what gift you're going to get, huh?
But, and there is a but, I heard a group of politically mixed college-age women use the phrase Republican gay as though everyone meant as everyone understood exactly what it meant. The rest of the time I was there, that phrase stuck with me. Then the log cabin Republicans made their announcement. After nearly a decade of including transgender advocacy in their mission, they formally returned to their national focus of lesbian, gay, and bisexual conservatives. Supporters will probably call that clarity. Critics would probably call it betrayal. In my opinion, it reveals something bigger and broader. That political coalition represented by the letters LGBTQ may be much less unified than politicians, activists, and media organizations want us to believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Gay rights were primarily built around equal treatment for adults.
Right.
Okay. Many transgender controversies involve minors, medical authority, parental rights, women's sports, and the legal meaning of biological sex. I'm going to let that sit for just a second.
Really?
The legal meaning of biological sex.
Oh, Tim, I'm not a person that likes to hold back, but I'm going to have to for right now. I'm having a really hard time.
So, do those issues overlap? Possibly, but they're not identical. Recognizing that difference does not require hatred towards anyone. It requires enough intellectual honesty to admit that one acronym cannot settle every political question before the debate even begins. At the same time, gay conservatives should not be complacent. Same-sex marriage still has opponents.
Yeah, it does.
Even within the Republican Party itself.
No, that's true, man. That is true.
Legal equality is not protected merely because today's political attention has shifted elsewhere. History shows that coalitions can protect vulnerable minorities, but it also shows that coalitions fall apart when disagreement becomes forbidden. Maybe the future is not LGB against T. Maybe the future is a society where gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender Americans are allowed to hold different political beliefs without being treated as traitors to an assigned identity. Because sexuality tells us something about whom a person loves. It does not tell us what that person believes about taxes, guns, immigration, schools, sports, medicine, or government. And it certainly doesn't tell us how that person must vote. And that brings us back to the question, is the LGBTQ coalition evolving, or is it finally beginning to break apart?
That is the question we will definitely find out probably in the next couple months too, huh?
Yep. UnWoke Nation, we're going to leave it right there for you guys. We'd love to get your feedback on this story. You can reach us at feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Again, that is feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Rich, a pleasure as always. And remember, guys, stay unwoke.
See you next time.